Hello everyone, welcome back to Captain Aviation. Hopefully you're doing well today. And let me just thank you before we start about today's topic for your great support that you've been giving towards me and towards the videos of the private pilot license of the UK CA theory exams. All 9 exams in the videos have been completed, so you can watch all of them, the ones you've been struggling with and the ones you're going to do in the future if you haven't all completed them. The radio telephony test will be coming soon as well, so do look out for that one, and I will post it on my social media as well. So thank you for your support, it's really appreciated, and I've been seeing lots of comments of you guys asking me advice in general for the PPL in general and the theory exams as well, specifically for that one because that was a video it was on about. So today we're going to be speaking about the flight schools, which ones you can choose, and I'll be giving you a good criteria, in my opinion, of some reasons you should be choosing some and some you shouldn't be, regarding various factors and according to various factors, sorry. So let's start from the first one. It's going to be distance. So the distance of your flight school from where obviously your home is, or where you'll be most of the time, so your house probably, and the distance to the flight school. So let's say it's an hour distance, you would have to take the public transport, private transport, Uber, whatever transport is best for you, and obviously the cost of that. And you would have to see that obviously you're going to lose an hour, or whatever you want to call it, an hour and a half or 3 hours return journey, of course, to get to your flight school. And obviously you need to look at the cost of your flights schools as well. So for example, an hour on the Cessna 152 is, let's say, 200 an hour. It would take you, and the transport is £20. It would take every day, or every time you go to the flight school, it would take you £220 for that day of flying, including the transport, of course. And so you should look very closely at where your option and the distance for the flight school close to you is, and not always the closest flight school to you is the best option. So do make a note of that, because it's not always the best flight school, and always maybe you'd have to travel a bit further, probably half an hour further, to find the flight school that suits you, regarding costs, availability, and other factors we'll get into today. So that one's distance. So basically just a summary, looking for the best flight school in your area, or even if you have to travel, but looking for the best one regarding various factors. Okay, so don't just go to the closest one, even if it's a bit further away, you can choose that one as well. The other one will be instructor availability. So you'd have to ask your flight school how many instructors they have, for example, 5, let's say, and you have many students, because some flight schools do have a majority of students. Obviously, let's say each instructor has 5 students, and another flight school has 2 students that they look at, or 3, or maybe even more. Then you have to look at the instructor's availability as well. And obviously the more instructors a flight school have, probably the better it is, because they have more option and they might have more time for you in the long run, and not just for the small flights. So do look at that one as well. Obviously when you do go to a flight school, it's important that you do, obviously, so there's some people that take 2 years to do it, some people takes 1, some people want to actually do it in less than 1 year. So obviously if you want to go to a flight school, that you want to do your PPL training in less than a year, and it's doable, then you'd have to choose a flight school that has more than probably 10 instructors in the flight school, not less than 5, because that will probably be meaning that the instructors would have to take care, not just you, but also many other students, as the demand is probably high for the flight school as well. So do take care in that, and obviously it depends actually on what, it would depend on your availability. Okay, so your not just availability, but your time frame of when you want to get the PPL done, and also the instructor's availability regarding how many days they're there, which is an important factor as well. If they're there 5 days a week, which is great. If they're only there for Saturday and Sunday, maybe not as great. because you would have to be free those Saturdays and Sundays, and that might not fit into your weekend routine. Okay, so do look into that as well. Make a note of that. I think it's really important to note. Other licenses and ratings after PPL. Obviously, if you want to do PPL as a hobby, then obviously you can just stop here and skip to the next part. But if you want to do other licenses, go into the commercial sector, then you would have to look in the commercial pilot license, which can be done there at the flight school. Some flight schools do the commercial pilot license, as it's the one after the PPL. So you can look into that as well if it interests you. And if it doesn't, then also other ratings. So from a Cessna 152 to the Cessna 172, you can do ratings, and so on to the PA-28 as well. So do look into that. And also the night rating, some people want to do the night rating as well, and make sure your flight school does that as well. So if you want to go in the commercial sector, do think about your flight school. You can maybe do the PPL and the CPL together at the same flight school. Not necessary, not important, as probably the instructor availabilities, let's say, sector or the factor that I put into this, but obviously it's a note that you can take down for future references if you want. Another one is ground school and exams. So the ground school exams, some flight schools do ground school training in the winter months. Okay, so from, I don't know, let's say when it starts to rain more, when flying isn't available as summer, some flight schools do ground school exams, so they teach you the ground school subjects. Okay, so the one I did, the 9 exams I showed you on the channel, and if you don't know, then they are in my channel. Okay, so you can just check on the channel, just tap my face there with the plane, my profile picture, and it should take you to the channel section, and you can go to the video section and see the latest 9 videos on the theory exams. So the general, let's say, flight schools, I think they do these trainings, these winter months trainings. So if might interest you, I studied alone also self-studied basically for all 9 ones, and I found it well, and I did them more or less in 10 months for 9 exams. So it's basically month each exam. And obviously it depends on your availability. If you see that you're not going to be available that much during the winter months to self-study, maybe it would need an extra cost, but it's also an extra investment in your time. So it could take you 2 weeks for each exam, because these flight school training for the exams, ground school exam, helped you. Okay, so you just see how you would like to do it, self-study or online study. EasyBPL is a very good questionnaire. Then XAIR is another good one, guys. So I'll put the description in the box down below, and we will be looking into that as well in the further videos. XAIR is called, and I will put a link into that as well. So do look at various options for your ground school exams. If you're a person that doesn't like to self-study, or self-study for you is a bit hard, then you can look into that. And obviously if you're not used to studying, so for example you're not used to studying in school, so you're not my age, but you're, let's say, 30, 40, then, and you're not used to studying, not too used to reading as much, then maybe you can look into the ground school exam option. You don't have to, obviously, just an advice if you want to take it. Another one is plane types. Okay, so looking at plane types and the various aircrafts they have. So you can have Cessna 152, which is a basic flight training, which flight training aircraft, which would cost you less. And another one is a Cessna 172, and the PA-28. And obviously the Cessna 172 and the PA-28 usually should be same price or similar. And obviously if you do your training, for example, the minimum of 14.5 hours on the Cessna 152, it would cost you much less than doing the all the flight trainings of the 45 hours on the PA-28 or the Cessna 172. So basically you can do 45 times 30 a difference, so £30. So for example, let's say the Cessna 152 hourly training is £200, and the PA-28 and the Cessna 172 is £230. Obviously, each flight you would save on a Cessna 152 30 times 45 hours for the minimum flight training, if you understand what I mean. So basically, the difference between using a 152 and a 172, for example, would be 30 times 45, which is, I think, 1,350, because I did maths earlier. So it should be, I've got it written down, 1,350. Okay, so 30 hours of the difference, okay, between the Cessna 152 and the 172 times minimum hours of 45 hours. And let's say the average of the UK is 60 hours. Okay, so you would aim for the 60-hour mark compared to the 45. Okay, so do make a note of that as well. Some people prefer to use a PA-28, so they're already there, and they've got more features. Okay, so on the VOR, for example, or the DME, which we don't have on the Cessna 152. Some people just prefer that, and they do have the money, and they do have the option financially to get the PA-28 on every flight school. Do that, not a problem, and it's actually probably a better option, as you wouldn't have to do the training as well after, from the conversion from a 152 to a P-28. Guys, the last one is costs, which is obviously the most important when it gets to the aviation sector and the aviation industry, which is not a cheap one. And people that have done their flight training would obviously relate and would understand, unless they're very, very rich, and they probably don't have the sense of thousands as well, thousands of pounds. Maybe it might be peanuts and pennies if you're a millionaire. I'm not sure, I'm not a millionaire yet, so I could tell you in a couple of years, or if I get there to a million, I'm not really sure, don't really mind. So, getting back to the costs, you would have to look at the cost for flight per hour. So we said it can be £200, it could be more. Then you have to look at the hire. Okay, so I think you'd have to hire for your skill test, and you could hire even after. So after BPL, you'd have to, if you want to do hour building, you'd have to hire an aircraft. And you want to do it at the same ground school, then you can obviously look into that one as well, if they have that option of hiring at a good rate compared to the other ones. You can look at that. Maybe 2 flight schools close to you, one has a cheaper hire option, but the other one does a better training. You can just switch, not a problem. And ground school exams as well. So some ground school exams make their students pay £30 per exam, per theory exam. So the e-exams that we've been doing on the video, I've been doing on the channel recently, and some do it for £70. So you would have to have a difference of that. And I think you can change. I did all mine in one flight school, but you can do, I think you do your training, your flight training, and your ground school exams in 2 different places. And the other one is ratings. Okay, so obviously if you did, as I spoke before, different licenses, so the 172, 152, all these ratings, conversions, night rating, maybe it might be less in one place, but we might more for the flight training on the other one. You guys depend and see, just these are just general information for your future references if you haven't started your flight school training as well. If you haven't started it, then best of luck, and I wish all the best for your flight training. If you do have any questions, guys, do comment down below. Don't hesitate. I'm always there for the viewers and for the commenters, let's call them, that they do enjoy commenting, and I do enjoy answering, and I do enjoy answering to the best of my ability to help you get through the license and do as best as you can. So guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for all you've been doing since from now, and I wish you the best of luck for these exams and all the best of luck for these flight training, and obviously you do deserve it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.